the No Limiter Podcast, where we interview top business owners, entrepreneurs, and creators in every industry to help you set record-breaking months. Here's your host of the No Limiter Podcast, Regina Eileen Woodard.
You are listening to the No Limiter Podcast. I am your host, Regina Eileen Woodard, and today I'm interviewing Dr. Teresa Moore. She has a PhD in religious education and a master in counseling. And she is the author. Listen to me now. She is the author of Awakening to Win. She also has 29 years experience working with my favorite population, developmentally disabled individuals. So I want to welcome you to the No Limiter Podcast, Dr. Teresa Moore, my friend, my sister. Well, I don't know. You're about to be my confidant because I might have to get on your couch one day. But well, welcome to the podcast today. How are you?
Good. What's up, Queen? I'm so glad to be before you this morning. How are you?
You know what? Every time I wake up in the morning, I thank God for what? For opening my eyes. Yeah. Amen.
You wake up to win, though. Huh?
I wait, but you what?
To win. Huh?
Right. I awaken to win. So our topic today is mental awareness and how do you cape? Or what is caping? And when we first talked about it, I was very confused, but I finally got it when you explained it to me. But I also finally got it. Everybody I know has that S on their chest. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about what it's called? Correct me. Is it called caping?
Caping, yeah.
So, what is caping?
So caping is, I gave the analogy of, like Superman. He has the S on his chest and he roams around trying to save the world, right? And so as individuals, we do the same thing. We wear S's on our chest. We feel like we have to be everything for everybody. We have to show up and be this for this person, show up and be this for that person. But really, we need to take the S off our chest and stop caping for everybody else and start caping for ourselves. We always miss the mark when it comes to self. If you really be honest with yourself, most of us, we on the go all the time and we everything to everybody. But what about us? What about what we need? So caping is taking your S off your chest and giving you what you need in this time, in this moment, in this season.
Since we are after, I don't know when anybody's going to watch the podcast, but, okay. Last Sunday evening, we had Will Smith. He actually slapped Chris Rock. Yeah. And he actually, what would you clap? Did he take the S off his chest? Or when I think about mental awareness or mental situation, I think about social well-being. How's your social well-being? How's your life? In order for you to have your mental awareness right, your social well-being has to be right. Yeah. So how would you put what happened with Will Smith and the slapping of Chris Rock? What was his mental state at that time?
Well, first of all, let me say this. Will Smith is a human being. And I believe that he has some things going on within himself. And Chris triggered something. I don't think it was necessarily the joke. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was necessarily the fact that they were laughing. I think that may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. He had probably been dealing with so many things already. And when that joke happened to come, he just lost it. He got up out of his seat and he laid hands on the individual. So within yourself, well, I ain't gonna say within yourself, but typically when you lay your hands on somebody, you have had it. Like there's no resolve at that moment. And I think Will was just in a place where he had enough. And Chris just happened to be the person that got hit in the mist.
So you think that it doesn't sting to the fact that Jada Pinkett has alopecia? You think it stings to the fact that growing up, he has some issues and he really didn't deal with his issues with his father that everybody's been reading about? He has some underlying issues.
I think that he has some underlying issues. I believe that some residue was there. That's how because he was triggered. It could be because he, thought about his wife and he was defending her honor. But I think it stems beyond that, because this was an event where he was being recognized. This was a life-changing event for him. So at some point, you have to ask yourself, who would have done this at an event like this? I mean, this was an amazing night for him. So that trigger that he had going on within himself caused him to respond. Because technically, Jada could have been like, stop. But he was gone. At that point, he just got up and responded.
It was when I was watching the Oscars, it's the first time I learned where rewind was on my remote.
Okay.
and I was talking to a good friend of mine, and I call her one of my sisters, and my older sisters. She had to tell me what the rewind button was, and I rewinded probably at least 15 times.
Yeah.
And because I really honestly thought it was a part of the skit. I really did, because, the way Chris Rock reacted was amazing. And the reason I say it was amazing, because you have two professional Black men that are at the height of their career, and something like this happens. And Will brought himself down, but Chris didn't help him bring himself down more. And he didn't even press charges, even though he says that he's still processing, but I pat him on the back for not doing what another person would have done. He took the high road when Will took the low road.
I'm going to say, Queen, you absolutely right. And so at that moment, though, Chris Rock could have lost everything too. He could have lost everything by retaliating.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have to ask yourself, and I say this all the time with my clients, you have to ask yourself, what is it that you really want to see happen in this moment? He was embarrassed, but I would rather take the embarrassment than to lose my livelihood forever. So you can take a moment of weakness or a moment of tragedy, and it can change the whole trajectory of your life. Because really, Will Smith could be in jail today.
Yes, he could. Yes, he could. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about real life. I had to bring the Will Smith situation up because everybody can relate to that, right? Because he's a public figure, people put him on a pedestal. But just think about everyday people like ourselves.
Yeah.
We have issues. Myself, I have the S on my chest all the time. And it's hard for me to be able to, because when people see me as the queen, she makes no mistakes. She does this. And if you make a mistake, it's like, well, how do you deal with it? It's like I'm supposed to be not perfect, but it's like I'm not supposed to have issues, right? So what is your plan, being in the mental health field? How do you help people deal with their day-to-day actions or their reactions, or if something happens?
First of all, we talked about this prior, just normalizing getting help. So people are suffering in silence every day. We see it. I mean, you have people that really internally are hurting. And like you said, when you are in high positions, and people are looking to you to always be perfect and have your stuff intact, you don't want others to see that the story isn't true, right? We want our frame to always look good. But the reality of it is we think we're hiding something from people who see it already. What's inside of you eventually comes out. So normalizing getting help. It's okay to go sit and talk to someone. It doesn't mean that you're quote unquote crazy, or that, you're not going to a shrink. You're going to a real person who has been trained to give you real tools to help you cope daily. Effective tools that if you work those tools will be effective in your life. But all too many times we don't place value on therapists and on going to seek help. It could be childhood. It could be our own personal beliefs. It could be the things that was taught to us. However, there are trained individuals that are ready and willing to help individuals in crisis.
I got to give another example that everybody would know who this person is. And I got to give an example because I got to get people to think about, relate somebody else's situation that they heard about, that they read about, to their own situation. Because Will Smith is no better than we are. He put his pants on the same way we do. He eats with the same, he puts his food in his mouth just like we do. He wipes his butt just like we do. He pees just like, or urinates just like another man does, right? And so does Jada. She urinates just like another woman would. And I say that because we have to know that we're no different than anybody else. It's just that when people go through things, they have to be able to what? Seek your help. Seek your help, Dr. Teresa Moore, or seek a therapist's help. This other example I want to bring up is the Miss America, the lady, she's an Afro-American lady. What she jumped off a building, was it an apartment building, right? And I can't think of her name. Do you remember her name?
I cannot remember her name, but I'll always remember her face.
Let's walk through that situation, because in my mind, you're looking at her, you think nothing's wrong. You don't think you think her mental health is good, even though you don't know all her underlying issues. How would you have helped her deal with her day-to-day issues, mental health issues? Because it had to be, when you do that, it has to be mental health, right?
Oh yeah, she has some depression going on. She had something going on that caused her to do that. And even with her, the media put up some of her Twitter, I think some things she tweeted, and she said, "May you rest and may you have a day full of peace," or "rest in peace," or something like that to the fact, right before she jumped off of the building. And so when you have people, depression is real. First of all, let me say that there is studies that show that there are so many individuals that are depressed yearly, and it's seasonal depression. There is acute depression, which comes on right, suddenly. And then there's chronic, that's all the time. Now, every person who's alive have dealt with depression at one time or another. It's just, you can't get away from it. However, how you deal with it matters. Some people can have bouts of depression and then they bounce back and they don't need help. But then there's individuals that do need help and they need medication along with. Talk therapy is what they call it. So not just having a therapist, but they need medication too to help them cope. Depression is real. It's debilitating, so if you're having problems like that, which, and when I say problems, I mean, if you're having days of crying, days where you can't get out of the bed, days where you can't eat, or days where you overeat, or days where you cannot let thoughts go, they're just random, they continually flooding your thought process over and over and over, then you do need to seek some help. Sometimes, anxiety comes along with that. And then you get into a psychotic state. So you do need help. And so there's individuals that suffer with this every day, and they suffer in silence and they don't get help. So then that's when you see they go to work and something happened at work. Maybe they're suspended, or maybe they get fired, and boom, now you got a office shooting, a mass shooting, some destruction happens. Or if divorce, now you got another issue going on. So there's different things that happen within our lifespan that causes us to respond certain ways. And when you're depressed, it makes that even harder.
How do you get to individuals before they get where they need to get on medication, or what is your process? Because, I mean, you answered one of the questions I had, because I was going to say, well, how do you realize that you're depressed? You may be able to get out of bed, right? Your same old process every day. Yeah. But then you're thinking about the issues that you have. And how do you know that when you're depressed? How do you know you need to seek advice?
If it's affecting your day-to-day activities, if you seem extremely tired and you don't want to do normal activities, if you're having flighting thoughts, if you're, like I said, having crying spells or mood swings. So one of the ways we measure depression is by the DSM. So we look at the symptoms. So there are some categories, DSM. So the diagnostic manual, the diagnostic statistical manual, that's where we get all our diagnoses from. And so we look in there, and if you fit within the categories, that's how your symptoms are. If your symptoms fit within the category, that's how you get your diagnosis. So you have to meet several of the characteristics. that's associated with the diagnosis. So that's how we fit, we find it out. I wish I would have had my book right here. I would have showed you. It's not right here.
So you don't wake up and say that you want to be a therapist. You don't wake up and say, you know what? I want to help people enjoy their life more. I want to help them get through whatever they're going through. My philosophy is the Queen's philosophy.
That's
Regina the Queen of Car Loans.
Tell me what the Queen is.
Right. Regina the Queen of Car Loans and Credit, but where I sell cars and I help people get excellent credit. And I do a podcast. Let me just tell you, and they probably say, Regina, why are you tooting your horn? I'm tooting my own horn because now I have this other side of me when it comes to podcasting. So I know that in order to where you're going, you have to go through something to get where you are. Mm-hmm. You just didn't wake up and say, you know what? I want to be able to help people. What happened with you where you are actually Dr. Teresa Moore? I mean, what happened where to get you where you are today? Just let me get to the point.
So let me tell you this. Experience really is a good teacher, but I wanted to be what I needed in life. So I grew up in the projects, Lakeside Homes at the time.
Pontiac, Yaktown.
Yaktown, don't back down. Look, born and raised, okay? Lakeside Homes, okay? The PJP, Project Posse. But anyway, so I grew up in the projects. I was poor. I'm be honest with you. A lot of people didn't even know what was going on inside of our household. I had friends that didn't know everything, but I saw my mother struggle. And prior to even my existence was a struggle. So I was born a crack baby. I think I'll share that with you.
Well, let's break it down. Because, let's talk about, before we talk about what a crack baby is, what food did you have? When you say you didn't have any food in the household, what kind of food?
So natural food. I know what it's like to be hungry, for real. I remember my mother having 2 bags of microwave popcorn in the cabinet, and that was it. And at the time, I was going back and forth on the weekends to my godmother's house, and my godmother would always send food home on Sunday. And this particular Sunday, she sent me with an enormous amount of food. And my mother, it was almost like Christmas when she seen it. So She was excited to eat, because when you only have 2 bags of microwave popcorn in your cabinet, you know what hungry is. So you trying to decide how much we gonna eat now, what we gonna eat later. That 2 bags was gonna have to last for 2 days, right? And so when my godmother sent the food home, it was almost like Christmas for my mother. But I just wanted to backtrack, because from my very existence, I was born a crack baby, addicted to crack, because my mother was out in the street and my dad, they were doing whatever, they did their thing. And it was a lady who took me in next door, and that lady kept me with her, and she helped raise me. And she was old. She was born in 1919, so she was old.
Even I was just gonna say she's still living, but no, she's not.
No, she was old when I was a kid. So you know what I mean. So I thank God for her. But I was telling you the purpose of saying I was hungry, because that was my life. When I came back to my mother, I was hungry again. But while that lady had me, she's the one who taught me how to cook. She's the one. I was just going to get there because you're a caterer too, entrepreneur. Yes. She was the one who taught me how to cook. She was the one who showed me how to make a bed. I'm telling you, as a kid, to make a bed in the morning. I mean, I was a kid, 7, 8, making a bed in the morning at 6 a.m., taking a bath, making breakfast, and having breakfast and lunch both done by 12 noon, and taking the washing machine, the one that was open, and you folded it through the top to dry, to get the water out. You have to feed it through the top. I'm sorry. I know I'm a little older than you, but no, I don't remember that. Listen, I'm talking about straight the washing machine, the agitator with no top on it, and you had to take the clothes and feed it through the top to get the water out. So as a kid, I was taught those things. So those skills was instilled in me by that lady until my mother got herself together and she took me back. So yeah. So I wanted to be what I needed. And even though this lady took me in, I was hurting, I was abandoned, I was rejected. I didn't have my immediate family unit. They were not with me. I had a grandparent across the city with my sister and brother and family. They were all doing well, but I was this rejected, cracked, this forgotten person over here. So I wanted to be to others what I needed for myself. So going to school to be a therapist was not on my radar. When I graduated, I wanted to go to Florida A&M, got accepted, but was pregnant.
Wow.
With my daughter.
With your first and only.
It was not my first time being pregnant, but that was my only child. I got a new book that's coming out that talks about my first pregnancy. It's out on Mother's Day. But
what's the name of the book?
So it's coming soon. So it's an anthology called Recrowning God's Daughters. And Tanisha Johnson is the publisher, and she's the person who put it together. And my daughter Sierra is in it with myself. So it's coming soon.
So you both have your own individual chapter. We do.
And so I wanted to be what I needed. And I was hurting. I grew up hurt when I went back to my mother, hating her, abandoned, rejected, self-conscious because I was a heavier girl. They was talking about me, and we still was poor. And then I came up because I met Sierra's daddy, who was a dope dealer. So now I'm in the gang. So we started doing, selling dope now. So I was in the gang, and so we came up. We was like George and Wheezy. And so life took a different turn then.
Bonnie and Clyde, George and Wheezy.
Listen, okay. So life I thought was good, but I was in that fast life, doing whatever I could to survive. Even though I was back with my mother, I still was hard-headed, wasn't listening. So, I was young. I'm talking about 15 out here slanging, doing what I gotta do. And, that's what it was.
So what brought you to the fact that you wanted to be a therapist? Because were you sitting on someone's couch? And I always gotta say sitting on someone's couch, but did you have therapy to go through all the things that you went through? I mean, you're talking about your crack baby, not having any food, slinging drugs. That's being on the street. I mean, did you have therapy? Straight hood. So, did you have therapy? Who helped you get through that?
Eventually, but not right away. Eventually, I got pregnant with my daughter and had her at 19. Because remember, I told you I was going to Florida A&M because I was getting out of the yak. I was getting away from my mama. I was going away to school, but then I became pregnant. And so I had my daughter at the age of 19, and that she was the changing agent for me. She was the one who made me realize that I needed some help and to reconcile the relationship with my mother so that I can live. Because I was tormenting myself. I was toe up. How could you not be toe up in a lifestyle like that?
So having your daughter, she helped you to reconcile the relationship with your mother. Mm-hmm. And how old were you when
I had her at 19, and the real reconciliation didn't come though until I got married. So I had Sierra at 19, and then there was a separation with her father, who's deceased now. And then my husband, when Sierra was 1 year old, me and Frederick started dating, and then we got married. So it wasn't until now I had this family unit, right? And that's when I sought out counseling. That's when I sought out help for myself to be better for my daughter. But it was not until 2002 when I went back to school. Remember, I only had a high school diploma. I went back to college in 2002, and a mentor, there was a woman by the name of Dr. Rashawn Parks White. At the time, she was just Rashawn Parks White. She's Fuqua now. And she was the first person who spoke life into me, who said, why don't you go to school? Why don't you go get your master's? And I didn't even think about getting a master's. She was like, you will be good. You need to go get your master's in counseling. Wow. And so she was the one who planted the seed. And it was that seed that she planted that got me into the program. She recommended me to the school. She wrote the letter for me. She
What
still
school?
to this
You
day.
never said what
Oh,
school.
I went to Siena Heights University. She was the one who wrote the letter for me. She spoke life into me, and she's still my mentor to this day. As a matter of fact, this is a picture of her right here.
Can
And
you pull it off and let it? Can we see it?
Well, I can't take it off the time. Well, this is her. This is me and Dr.
Okay.
Fuqua.
Wow.
So that's Dr. Moore and Dr. Fuqua. So what was awesome about how God used her in my life is that at the time she spoke that into me, she was at a master's level in her doctorate program. And so when I got in the master's program and got ready to end, she was like, you need to go for your doctorate. And I was like, what? And so I followed her footsteps. And so she got her doctorate, I got mine. And it was just like that. And so when I got the doctorate, I had a special award presented to her because she was the first person who loved me enough and thought enough about this little Pontiac girl, this little crack baby, this child, this wayward child.
Okay.
To speak life
Amen.
into me.
Amen.
To speak life into me.
Okay. So she was your mentor. She was your big sister. She was your mom. She was all that rolled into one.
Because she's a Delta.
Okay. See, I said sister. I didn't bring out that she was a Delta too. So she had her red on, right? So of course.
Definitely.
So you talk about, when I was reading your bio, you talked about sowing seeds in the community in Pontiac and surrounding areas.
Yeah.
So now, God bless you for telling us your story of what you went to get where you are. Mm-hmm. But right now, why is it so important for you to sow seeds in the community of the city of Pontiac and surrounding areas? Why?
Because it's my city. I rep my city. And there's a lot of families in the city of Pontiac that can benefit from counseling. You know, there's a lot of single mothers in the city of Pontiac whose children need to be uplifted. They need to see something positive. They need to do that. And not just in Pontiac, but all of the surrounding cities. But since I'm in Pontiac, yes. So I do little things. I got a nonprofit organization called Rescue, Restored, and Ready, which we do free counseling services for teens and families that are in crisis. Outside of
when
that,
you say free, let's just be honest here. When people think of the word FREE, is no such thing as free.
It's nothing free. First of all, the preparation alone is priceless because I don't go into any session alone. I go into session ready. And number two, I'm going to give you 100%. And when I say free, I'm saying free to the point of if you can't afford services, I'm not saying you are abusing services because really there's nothing in life free. What I learned is when you tell people something is free, that then they're not invested anymore. Anything that's worth you attending, going to, you need to invest in it. If there's no investment, you can't expect a return.
So a little bit of conversation we had before we actually came on and started recording. Mm-hmm. We talked about your vision, and because right now, you're actually touching the areas of surrounding of Pontiac and outside of Pontiac. Mm-hmm. But what is your vision? Because we talked about your vision. When I think about the vision, we talked about where you want to go is putting yourself on platforms. Back in the day, there was a Dr. Ruth, right? Yeah. Or there was, what's the lady? Fix It. What's the lady? I can't think of her name.
Oh, you talking about Ayana?
Ayana Fix It, right? You're in your own lane on that level. Yeah. So how do we get to the masses, right? Because this is a mental health awareness. A mental health is across all ages, all demographics. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter what color you are. It is happening. Mental awareness is, I even think to the fact of my life. I remember in 2008, Dr. Teresa, where my father died. And, my father had cancer. And he prepared me for it by, when I found out he had cancer, he couldn't even tell me. My auntie from down south had to call me. My dad was so broken that, he couldn't tell me. My aunt told me. But he prepared me where when a person is sick, You get to deal with it in your mind, even though it's still hard due to the fact when they pass, that's when you lose it, or you try to feel how do you deal with it now. But that was one of the hardest years, the hardest year in my life, 2008. Then I think about when my mom passed in 2016. That was hard too. But after my mom passed, after my dad passed, my mom was still living. So I didn't really hurt as much. It's because I knew I had my other parent. But I realized that I needed to get me a mentor. I needed to get someone I can talk to. I needed to get someone I can trust. And because I needed to deal with just death, being able to just deal with day-to-day living, and just to know that it's not okay. You're going to cry some days. You're going to have the times you're not going to want to get out of bed, right? And what do you do when you don't want to get out of bed? Do you stay in bed?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Give yourself permission. So that's what we was talking about. We're in an economy to where there's time limits placed on everything. Like, if somebody passed, you got to have the body in the ground in 7 days. Depending on your religion, it might be 3 days. You got to, you got to go make the appointments. You have to, everything has a date associated with it, a time associated with it. And so we feel like we're always in a microwave, if you will, but allow yourself to feel. I remember the Lord gave me the 3-step: feel, deal, heal. And in the
wait a minute, break it down. Break it down.
Heal. Feel, deal, heal. So in the feel stage is feel what you're going through. You human, you real. If you feel, allow yourself to feel, give yourself permission to feel.
Yes.
I'm not saying live there for the rest of your life, but I'm like, cry if you need to. And
I did.
To do. In this stage, because when we start putting band-aids on areas that need stitches, now you're going to keep reopening that, and then you don't get out of the stage of feeling. We always going to have crisis and stuff come up on us. We can't avoid it, but allow yourself to feel. And then when you go from feel, now let's deal with it. So I felt like that, but now let's deal with it.
Deal with it.
What steps we gonna take right here in the deal? What does deal look like? You may have to reposition everything about yourself when they talk about dealing. I can't deal with this the same way I dealt with that last year, because this is a different year and this caused for me to deal differently, right? And then now when you get from the deal, now let's heal from this. Okay, I done felt it. I done went through it. I done dealt with it. So now let me heal. I'm on the pathway to healing. What does healing look like? Healing may look like, I'm sitting in front of a therapist. I'm working out this plan with a therapist. It may be like, okay, I'm in a support group. I got my accountability partners. I got people to check me where I'm staying. Okay, really, I'm doing identity. I'm thinking about my identity. I'm doing self-awareness techniques. I'm doing I'm thinking about reevaluating myself, and okay, why am I here? That's what the healing looks like. Why am I here? Why is this offending me? Why is this making me do this? Why? You constantly asking yourself so you can reevaluate and change your positioning. So the 3-step process is real, and it allows you to really look at yourself. Let me feel right now. Okay, let me deal with this. Now I'm gonna heal from this so we can go on to the next thing. Now, what people get caught up on is that you feel like once you heal from something, that's it. No, you may have residue come back, and you may have to take yourself back through the steps. But the thing is to be aware of what's happening.
So basically it's a 3-step process. The 3-step process: feel, deal, and heal. Yeah. Is that a process that you can maybe continue the rest of your life?
Forever. And so I write about it often, like the book that just came out, Living and Loving Life Without Regrets. I wrote about that 3-step process in there. And this is an ongoing everyday process. Every day you encounter things, but you also have to let yourself be in those stages. Don't stop trying to rush the process.
Are you in the market for a new or used car? Whether you're in the Metro Detroit area or anywhere in the U.S., call or text me at 248-301-0461. And I go to work on getting you the best deal possible. That's right. We're delivered anywhere in the U.S. Call or text me at 248-301-0461. So you said one key thing, which you didn't horn in yet. Accountability partner.
Yeah.
Do you have why is accountability partner important?
First of all, you need no man is an island, right? We know that.
We just talked about that.
No man is an island. But accountability partners, they in your face. Real accountability partners, they in your face and they like, nah, that behavior ain't right. Or that ain't you, queen. I know that this is not how you operate. And also you can run things by them. You know what I'm saying? What you think about this? It's almost like not so much a mentor, because your mentors serve their purpose too, right? Because mentors help groom you and get you ready, but these accountability partners keep you on your toes. These the ones that you can break away with and just have that conversation with. You can be vulnerable with your accountability partners. It's important to have those. Again, not because just one man is in an island, but also it helps sharpen you. Iron sharpens iron.
How do you choose accountability partner?
I've learned that accountability partners typically choose you, because we don't really go out choosing people, but those that stand true, those that their characteristics are the same, they stand up. You don't really have to question them because what you see really is what you get. And so you find yourself gravitating towards those. Y'all got some like-mindedness. And what I always want to glean from people who either where I am, going towards where I am, we growing together. I want somebody that's going to sharpen me. I don't want to ever be the sharpest, smartest person in the room.
Iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron.
Well, I have enjoyed our conversation.
It's over.
No, we can keep on. We can keep on. We can go another 15, 20 minutes because I know you like, when you're a therapist, you like to talk, right?
Therapy for me.
Let's dig deep into how would a person choose a therapist? How do you,
Great question. So if you don't know who to call, you can Google Psychology Today. If you Google www.psychologytoday.com, if you Google that, the whole website will come up. On the website, it says, put your city you live in. I type in Pontiac. Every therapist near Pontiac gonna come up, and you can go down the line and you can read snippets about what they offer, what insurance they take, all of that. And you can click on one and you can make an appointment. It's that simple. Or word of mouth. I've seen so many people put on Facebook looking for a therapist, and all of a sudden they got 20, 30 inboxes, right? So you could easily find, or you can call your insurance company. Say you have Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield has a whole list of individuals you can call in your area.
So it leads to the fact, I was doing my research before we started the podcast, and there is a mental awareness day at work? Is there, a day that you can take? Like now, I know is if you're pregnant, well, if you're having a baby, whether you're a woman or man, you can take. Is it what? I don't got kids.
Now, I think it's up to 12 weeks now for men.
For men, if they take for mental, I'm talking about for mental health.
Oh yeah,
that was if you having a baby. For there's a mental health day, right? That you can take, but you have to qualify for it. Or is it with federal or?
So, Regina, my understanding is that most employers now are having mental health days where you can take mental health days. So I know you have to qualify for them, but because of what has gone on in the world, they're making it to where you can have access to more days off for mental health days. So you do have to qualify, but I think they're changing that. So don't quote me, but I believe that's what I read, that they're changing that because they noticed what happened in the world affected people more than what they're saying. Kids are not where they were. Adults, we all being stuck in a house. Socially, we're not where we were. Mentally, we're not where we were. Especially when we saw so many people dying. And just all of that. We walked through that for 2 years.
COVID changed me totally. And the reason it changed me was because, like everybody else, well, I never been in the house for a month. I never been confined where, you go to the grocery store, you come back home, You can't go, you don't go see your friends, you don't go see your family. And it made me realize the importance of friendships, people. It made me understand and love life more. And when I say I already love life, but I'm talking about the people that are in my circle, the people that I've gotten to know over the social media platform, because the Clubhouse came apart, a app where people are having rooms and they're taking different discussions. Every time something's hot in the world, people are talking about it. They got a car room, they have a credit room, they probably have a mental awareness room.
They definitely have mental awareness room.
Yeah. So they have so many rooms where, I got to know people, some people in the world that I never would have gotten to meet. I went to a few conferences that I would never have gone to if it wasn't for this app, and it got me more into myself. When I say more into myself, it got me thinking like, okay, Regina, you got to get out that same circle that you're in. You talk about it, but you got to be about it. I'm gonna say it again. You can talk about it, but you got to be about it. Yeah. And that's where we looked up at collaborating was, I didn't, you bought cars for me for years, but we never really gotten to know each other. I didn't know, I knew what you did, but I didn't know what you did. Yeah. I really, honestly, I didn't. I knew your name. I knew you worked. I knew you took care of your business, but I did not really know your occupation. I know you've been married for over 15 years. I know
it'll be 26 years in a couple of days. Okay.
26 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, I didn't know all the detailed things that I know about now. And
there's so much more you don't still know though. So that's good. That we keep the conversation going at a later time. Yes. Yeah.
But it got me to get to know people, get to know some of the people in my, that were not in my circle. You bought cars for me, but you weren't in my circle. Mm-hmm. Now we're in each other's circle. Mm-hmm. And the collaboration was only honestly because of COVID, because I remember right before COVID, you followed me. I went from Chevy, I went to Ford, and every time you came back got a car from me, you were like more confident. No, queen, I want this color. This is what I need. And this is when I want to pick it up. And I'm like, who's the queen here? Just
cussing me out. Go to put it out there, cussing me out.
Like, I'm thinking myself, who is the queen here? But you got more confident. And every time you came back to me. And it made me realize during COVID, because I made a list of people that I knew was important to me that weren't inside my circle, that eventually I wanted to have a relationship with for us to grow. And you were one of those people because the post that you did on Facebook, on social media, and just your whole awakening to win your book. You have that spirit where you're one of those people. And I said, I don't know how we're going to collaborate one day, but we are. But then this leads to the fact is, we're doing a show. It's called Be in the Driver's Seat. Mm-hmm. We focus on cars, credit, and community. Mm-hmm. And I sat down with Michael that I do the show with. And I said, Michael, I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to do it 4 times a month, just not twice a month and 2 on your show. I'm ready to grow. And he said, Regina, what does that look like? And I said, I don't know. This is what I want to do. And you don't know when I believe in something, when God puts it out there and I gravitate to it. And, I said, I want to do it. And I've been wanting to do it for a year, but I didn't know how that looked. And I said, getting with Michael, getting introduced by Michael from my college sisters, my sister right at that friend now, Jerry Nicole Anderson, how I met Michael. And we did twice a week and I learned a lot from him, but I said, I want to go 4 times a month. Again, I'm gonna say it again. How does that look like? Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't know. We had breakfast that morning and I said, I want to be able to get sponsors just like we do, but I want to take it to another level. because what we're doing is needed. It needed here, our area, and all over the world. Regina, again, what does that look like? I don't know, So he put the vision in my head, and the vision had been in my head for almost 2 years, but it was right before COVID when the vision got in my head. And so that night, we had breakfast with Mike that morning. That night, I was coming in, I forget where I was going, and was coming in, I was about to change I was going to a good friend's birthday party, and I got a phone call from you. And you said you had reached out to me before, and you was like, "Hey, Queen," and the conversation we had, you were like, "I'm ready." I'm like, "What you ready for?" You just got a car, you just got your new Chevy from me. And what was it, November? And again, let me just let you listeners know.
It wasn't in November, but okay.
Right. Okay. Was it November?
No, September.
Oh, okay. Well, September. Here again, I get a call. Queen, this is what I want, this color I want, this blah, blah, blah. This is what I need my payment to be at. This is how much I'm putting down, and no more than that. And I said, here we go again, but you kept coming back at me every time the same way. But you called me that night and you said, "I'm ready." And I said, "Ready for what?" And you said, "Remember we had this conversation in the fall, you hooked me up with Michael and never got back to me. He never got back to me. You didn't follow up." Yeah, I got thrown on the carpet, and the Queen can appreciate being thrown on the carpet, because you have to be able to accept when you make a mistake.
I said, "Come on, Queen."
You have to be able to accept again, let me say it again. You have to be able to accept when you make a mistake, or when something's not right, or you neglected something you should have took care of. And when somebody asks you to do, especially something like that, could really help the platform make it grow. And we talked about a little bit how that would look, and now what God did was, let me say it again. What God did was, he answered my question within 24 hours. When I said, I don't know how that's going to look, you called me. It was about almost 7:00 at night. And you answered my prayer. You answered something that I had thought about 2 years ago. But last year, when I made that commitment to be with Michael for the show, God said to me, "Regina, are you ready? Stop being scared. Stop it." And when you called me, you helped me get out of me not being scared. And I'm saying this because you never know when you touch somebody's life and when you're going to be there. And you were there at the right time. Amen. Then we had another incident, and I'm going to stop, because I'm right now, I'm giving God the glory, Amen, but I'm giving you the glory too. So I'm going to give God the glory first because he's the head of my life, right? But gave you the glory because he put you for me to get that phone call. But also is another milestone for me. And I said it right before we went on air for the radio. I said, what did I say? It was my first time. What did you remember that?
What?
Go, come on. I'm gonna let you think now, because it's a golden moment for the both of us.
You talking with me or with you?
Okay, no. So we were at the radio station. We were at Beasley, and we were about to record the show. It was me, you, Vicky, and Dominique. And I said, this is my first time doing what? By myself.
Oh, hosting a radio show by
yourself.
Yeah. And I told, and I said again today, okay, good. Good. It's time.
and
right seat.
I'm sorry, say it again.
You're in the right seat.
Yeah, but the thing is though, and the reason I'm saying this because, I've been on other platforms with other people, but to open up, to be confident, to be confident. Let me say it again. To be confident, right?
Yeah.
That know that you got this.
Yeah.
You don't need nobody to hold your hand. Right. Because if you're going to be with a team and we're going to collaborate together, we both got to be confident in all areas. And if we not in all areas, but let me say this, if I'm weak in one area, you got to be my strength.
You got to compliment each other.
I mean, you got to be my weakness, right? You got to compliment
each other.
Right. So if I'm weak in one area, you got to compliment me in my weakness. You got to compliment me where I'm weak in.
Yeah.
And so that's how teams work, and that's how people grow. So two milestones within 30 days. One, God brought you to me, right?
Yeah.
And didn't know, because remember, during COVID, you were one of the people I said, I got to collaborate with Dr. Teresa Moore, but I don't know how. I don't know how we're going to do it. Number two, I got over my fear, and nobody knew that fear. Only person knew that fear besides God was Jerry Nicole Anderson, because I talked about it.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. I'm trying to get over my fear of just being able to do that. And she
in our
said,
weakness, God's strength is made perfect.
Right.
But now you so natural at it. That's the thing. You so natural at it. And it was always your gift. Sometimes it was always your gift. Sometimes we allow our gifts not to be open.
Well, we got a silence in there because I didn't know what to say on that one, because I
needed to look at you, because we allow our gifts not to be open. But once the gift is open, you begin to see there's much more in the box.
Then you explode. When you say it again,
there's much more in the box.
Say it again. Say it one more time.
Much more in the box.
But you got to allow it to be open.
Stop boxing yourself in.
Stop boxing yourself in. And that's what, now that I'm not boxing myself in, and people may look at me and say, well, Gina, you're doing great things. You ain't boxing yourself in. But yes, I was boxing myself in. And now that I see that I'm boxing myself in, we are about to explode.
It's global, not local.
Yeah, right. Say it again.
It's global, not local.
Exactly. It's global, not local. Meaning that we already then created the groundwork in our town because of the platforms of who we are. So bringing this together is going to be global. The vision, the purpose is going to be global. It doesn't matter whether you're in Africa. It doesn't matter whether you're in Florida. It doesn't matter whether you're in Tennessee. It doesn't matter whether you're in Mexico,
or sitting in Pontiac.
Or in Pontiac, the yak, where we from.
Yes.
But what I learned, though, both of us being born and raised in Pontiac, is that sometimes you got to go out and get it somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
And for people to really realize what they have. They'll realize what they have, but then they take us for granted. So now doing the podcast, doing the radio, it's like when we explode, we're going to look back on this episode. When we explode, we're going to look back on this episode.
Oh, this is going to be for the favorites. This is going to be in the favorites. But I like what you said, though. Sometimes you have to go beyond the walls. Sometimes when you're within the walls, you really can't see the potential until you go outside of the walls. Like, for instance, with me, if you never travel, you never know what the world looks like. You have a limited vision. But when you come outside of the walls, then you expand your vision and you expand your reach. And you're not just grasping for what's in front of you. You're reaching for what's beyond you.
So expand your walls. Get out your box. Get out your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And expand your reaches. Wow. Was that your last words today?
It could be.
We could go on and on and on with our conversation.
We'll just do a part 2.
You know what we do? We got to figure that out. I mean, I would say in 30 days, we need to have a part 2. Yeah. So, if anything, I know what you need to do. You need to go to subscribe to the No Limiter podcast, Dr. Teresa Moore.
I already did.
Excuse me.
Okay.
And then when your snippet comes out and your episode, download it, share it, because this, your conversation, right? The conversation here needs to be heard around the world, because you dropped some serious nuggets today. And before we end, if you didn't get anything, you need to get these 3 things: feel, deal, and heal. Feel, deal, and heal. Let me drop my info in case they want to come feel, deal. I'm gonna let you do that. And then your accountability. Have accountability partner.
Yeah.
So how can everybody reach you, Dr. Teresa Moore?
So you can reach me at area code 248-214-6678. That's 248-214-6678 directly, or you can call Pathways 2 at 30101 Hoover Road. That's in Warren, Michigan. If you're on the other side of Detroit or in the other part of Southeast Michigan, you can come there. You can dial 586-558-6868, 586-558-6868, or if you want to come to the Pontiac location, dial 248-214-6678.
One more thing, what we hit on it earlier, but if you're not in Michigan, you're not in the Southeast, Southwest area, where do they go to actually get a therapist near them?
So I gave you an option to to Google Psychology Today, www.psychologytoday.com, and you can put the therapist in your city and it'll give you a whole list. But if you're interested in telehealth, you still can call me because I do telehealth, 248-214-6678.
What is telehealth?
So telehealth is you can be anywhere in the world in front of your computer and you and I can have a session.
Well, that's even better. Wait a minute. That's even better. So we shouldn't have gave out no psychology.com because they need to get telehealth with you. Because telehealth is even better because ever since COVID, Zoom is where it is. You get to see somebody, their face, you get to talk to them, and you get to engage. And that's just like sitting in front of them, except you don't have to sit on the couch or sit in the chair.
I don't know, Queen, because I'm coming to sit in the chair. I want a human interaction. Now, I am all for telehealth, but I am coming to the store and see you. Okay. I ain't finna be on Zoom.
All right. Thanks for listening to the No Limiter podcast, listening or watching, because you can listen on Apple and other platforms the podcast is on, but you can also watch the podcast on my YouTube. No Limiter podcast with Regina Eileen Woodard. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And thanks for being on today, Dr. Teresa Moore.
Thank you, Queen.
Love you. Love you too. Love you more.
Impossible.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the No Limiter podcast with Regina Eileen Woodard. Remember to subscribe and review the No Limiter podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and the No Limiter podcast YouTube channel. Every listen and review helps to get this podcast out to as many no limiters like you as possible.